On SBS Live this week, we invited metal extremists Iron Kingdom to come by and have a chat with us here in the studio. Amanda, Leighton, Chris, and Kenny are great to talk to. But the other thing I can say for sure is that Iron Kingdom has a loyalty that's pretty much unmatched in many bands. And when you think about it, Iron Kingdom's been through a lot. They've been through everything from personal tragedy to fighting the image of their own genre, which is tough when you're making the kind of music that you want to make. But Iron Kingdom is a passionate, focused, and hungry band, and they're determined to not let real music die. But before we get started, we always like you to know who you're dealing with. So let's check out a clip from Iron Kingdom's Voodoo Queen before we get started on SBS Live this week. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on SBS Live this week. We have Amanda, we've got Kenny, we've got Chris, and we've got Leighton. Pulled that off.
Yeah, you did. You did a great job there.
Thank you. So
Thank you for having us.
So let's start by tell me a little bit about your album, Curse of the Voodoo Queen. What's going on?
Well, that one is actually our debut album, so we did that one in 2011 in the summer.
Okay.
It kind of is like a hard rock kind of, I would call it kind of like a hard rock kind of album.
Okay.
And yeah.
It's kind of like really based off of like our influences.
Yeah, totally.
It's a culmination of like the first years of the band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's totally like from like those songs were written from like Night Rider was the first song we wrote.
Right.
And then to all the way to Montezuma, which is
like
newer.
13-minute epic song.
So you guys are going for that really long song length now, like.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the first album, it's always been something that I've kind of enjoyed listening to albums. You know, you get to the. It doesn't matter. Like some bands is in the beginning, some bands at the end of the album, whatever.
You get to that epic.
But you get to that epic song, and it's just like you really. Sometimes it takes a while to get into it.
Yeah.
But when you do, it's kind of like almost like an album on its own. You listen to that song. And
you
really
don't even realize how long it is because you're just like, oh, I like this part coming up, and then I like this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
it is kind of like going back and you end up listening to like maybe minute 8 to 13 after a while because you've been paying so much attention to 1 to 8 before.
Yeah.
Okay, so like is that album's in the past for you guys now?
Yeah, that one.
You guys are working on
for a while. We're actually working on a new
We're
one.
halfway through the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give me an idea what's different between this new album and the last one.
I would say it's like we've kind of found more of our sound in the second one. It's like the last album was like really based off of our influences, and now this one is kind of like us and what we want to like project as artists, like as Iron Kingdom.
Okay.
So
the songs are a lot more developed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
it's a lot more.
And we have Kenny now.
Yeah, it's a lot more of the four of us.
Yeah, I'm taking responsibility for that. I mean, that's a good opportunity for you to do that.
I actually joined the band right after the release of the first album. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was with our old guitarist Jordan.
Yeah. So Kenny's added some like cool like new influences. And,
totally,
like,
yeah.
Now at that point, we've been doing a lot of the guitar harmonies.
Oh,
yeah. More of a dual lead.
Dual lead kind of thing, compared to the first album where it was, the other guy was rhythm and I was lead.
Right, okay.
And,
so it's kind of more of a shared effort.
More of a and that's kind of what we've always wanted it to be.
The whole, like, the writing of this album was more of a band collaboration versus, you know, Chris coming up with the riffs.
Yeah.
And then, like, my lyrics or you know, whatever, and then, you know, that's the song.
I noticed that on the bio that you're credited as a lyricist. Is that kind of a combo that's worked for you guys in the past?
I
honestly don't know too many singers that don't tend to write their own songs.
I write some, but I'm, you know, in my heart, I'm a guitar player.
Okay.
I found singing through, you know, like I tried it for a little while because we didn't have anybody at the time who was devoted enough to the band.
Right.
And at first, you know, it was actually me and Leighton were actually singing. We'd trade off.
Yeah.
And
he sang better than I do.
Fair enough. So you ended up being the guy overall.
But kind of, but it was kind of like we were in this one stage where we were really trying to figure out what was going to happen with the singer. And unfortunately, Leighton decided he was going to leave for personal reasons at the time. And I was dead set on finding a different singer other than me.
Okay.
So we got this guy, Mark, in the band.
Who was like awesome.
Yeah, he was a great singer, he was a bass player as well.
Yeah.
Great bass player as well. A little older guy, a couple of years older than us.
Yeah.
I think it just wasn't working out. Like he was a great guy, but I think he wanted to go in a different direction. He kind of had his own band going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized, you know, maybe I should be singing again because it kind of gave that our own sound compared to him, where I kind of noticed it didn't really quite fit 100% with our sound where we were going musically.
Okay.
Yeah. So so then we went back to me singing, and it just so happened around that time, maybe like about a year later, then Leighton joined back again.
Right.
And then, but then at that point I just said, well, you know, I've been working on vocals for a while, so I think we're going to leave it at that.
Did you guys at any point look to replace?
We tried.
When we tried.
There was about 3 guys.
Yeah.
I think it was about 3 guys.
Yeah,
before
between
it came back.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
It just.
But it was like
their heart wasn't in it the same.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, like you know, they were all on their own. They were all good guys. And you know, they all
there's a solid connection between us.
Yeah.
Like he pretty much was learning his instrument when we first had gotten together.
Okay. So ground up.
Yeah, for the
franchise.
And Amanda too. And Amanda too. Yeah.
And,
right. Okay. But you've been classically trained.
Yeah.
As far as I'm sorry, I'm a bookworm and I read this
kind
of stuff.
No.
You've been classically trained, but has it always been drums, or is it adaptable knowledge?
It was, actually I started playing piano when I was 6, and I did the grade 10 Royal Conservatory, so I did that, and then kind of like as I was doing my grade 10, my brother started the band, and I was like, hey, I kind of want to learn to play drums, that looks like fun.
Right.
And then I kind of like switched, like I still play piano, but I'm more into the drums and I enjoy that a lot more, especially for performing. Whereas like piano for me is more personal. I like to do it kind of just like not in front of a bunch of people.
Do you find that is there a place for piano in metal? Like
I think so. Like our new album actually.
Okay.
There's a small kind of like piano intro for one of the songs, so.
Okay, so we got some stuff to look forward to then.
Yeah, it's very classical sounding.
This album's definitely gonna show people us.
Yeah, actually coming back to the album.
Yeah, we were called.
Sorry.
That's how these things go.
We were called Twisted before.
Okay.
You know, so the first album was kind of.
It was almost like you're hearing Twisted on the first album.
Yeah, because like we changed the name.
Like last
actually,
year.
as we were recording.
The first album.
Okay.
So and then we became Iron Kingdom, and then we got Kenny. Okay. And then now we are Iron Kingdom.
Right,
exactly. So the song.
So this is
totally.
Iron Kingdom that we're gonna put out.
Yeah, like we've only ever played 2 of the songs live.
Yeah.
With the exception of one, which was at a very secret party.
Okay.
Very
secret friends kind of.
Require a password.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Very secretive.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of these songs were written in about a 2-month period.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's 8 tracks on the album.
And one of them's like 15
minutes long, yeah.
So with it being that long, I mean, typically what I know of songs that tend to be 15 minutes long is that there is a heavy focus on the instrumentation as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think there's always been in all of our songs.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah.
Right.
So that has been the focus. Now, in the past on these old tracks of yours, Chris, that is you that I'm hearing as well, though. Like it's always been you as the recorded singer.
Yeah, totally, yeah. No, if you. Like the only thing you're gonna find online would be me singing.
Right.
So like our first album, it's all me singing. But actually, the interesting thing is, I was trying to really get the notes very clean, very clear. Mm-hmm. That's what I was looking for on the first one. Whereas the second album, like not to say that I don't want them to come out, right. Yeah. That's totally what I want, but. It's kind of more with feeling, I think, on this next one. More emotion,
than pure
than pure note. It's kind of like it's okay if there's a bit of a rasp because it might give it some feeling. Right?
Sure, yeah.
So I think with that and the musical technicality kind of changing a little bit, and us finding I found new influences in power metal and stuff.
Yeah, I think
that I hadn't been listening to. Amanda did too.
I really got into Blind Guardian since the last album, and Eisters and stuff like that, but Blind Guardian especially.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, with this album, we're more all on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
As musically, like the concepts we want to bring across through the lyrics and the music. We've always kind of had an emphasis on storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want it to be a story. We just don't want it to be random words thrown together with some cool guitar solos.
So is that kind of where you've come in the past with the lyrics and whatnot? Like, do you have like a certain kind of subjects you gravitate towards, or is there?
They tend to be a little darker.
Quite
it's a lot of like this album's. It deals with a lot of dichotomies. So like life, death, heaven, hell, good, evil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of the songs is about a dude who's gained immortality, and it's almost like a warning message to. Other people who might be wanting to be immortal, that it sucks.
It's not what it's about.
Death is part of the cycle of life.
Okay.
So you need that.
Right.
And the cool thing about his lyrics is, like me and him kind of write together almost in a really weird way. I don't know. It's like I'll write riffs and stuff, and his lyrics just fit. Like they just. It's almost like we've been thinking the same idea.
We'll sit down, and he'll be like, "Oh, I got this riff," and I'll be like, "Just keep playing it."
Right.
And then I'll sit there and think. Okay, write some stuff down.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, stop playing. What do you think of this? And
then
does
he hold you hostage?
Sometimes he's like, "Dude, make this something. I can't do this anymore."
But it's good for practice. Those hard riffs that he's like, "Oh, play that for a little while," and I'm like,
5 minutes or something.
This one's kind of difficult. And then and then at the end of it, I'm like, "Hey Kenny, I got this riff," and then I just play it, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing there?" He picks up really fast.
Oh, he does.
But sometimes he's like, "Whoa."
A lot of the times I'll listen to him play something, and I'll add a harmony to it, or I'll come up with a different riff and just work with it.
Yeah, it works so well. Like you guys together as
it's almost scary how fast he picks some stuff up.
Oh yeah.
And how well the parts
consider
complement each other.
You're the lead, or you're the lead anymore, or is it just
it's kind of like basically we kind of just take turns. Like we've both been always influenced by Priest and Maiden and all those Rush and all that kind of stuff. But Priest and Maiden, with the two guitars, how they are both leads, and they kind of trade off each other, and it gives a different I guess sound to the band. Is
absolutely
one guy always soloing, it can be cool, sure, right? But eventually you kind of go, okay, I get it. I can see where he's gonna go, right?
Sure.
But with the two of us, sometimes I'm just jamming away and he goes off on a solo and I'm like, man, I wish I came up with that, right?
Right, yeah.
And I don't know, hopefully he thinks the same, but he's probably thinking, what the hell is he doing? I wish I was doing a better thing.
I think of what to play and I hear him solo, I'm like, oh, I should have done that.
Yeah. Do you guys have a similar playing style at all when it comes to that? Or
well, I mean, we both have similar influences, so I'm sure there's, sweep picking and tapping and stuff like that. It's all you know, every metal guitarist loves doing that kind of stuff, right?
Then I have a classical background.
You do?
Play
With
piano.
actually, same as me.
He just got his grade 10.
They both
yeah,
have gone all the way.
That's no joke. Well, tell me about the video for it. Like, tell me about the
for the last album.
Yeah.
You can like, I mean, you can tell me about that one because that's the only like official one that I think I saw.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And like, I mean, so give me an idea of what that was like, and are you guys working on something now? Like,
well, actually, we've been very focused on. We really want to get out touring. Like, we did a bit of a tour in the summer, and so as far as videos go and stuff, we've kind of decided we're gonna put our money into. We got a van and for touring, and you know, we've got a new jam space and stuff like that. So we're kind of focusing on those aspects right now.
The live show aspect.
Yeah.
Versus the putting something out there.
Yeah, and I mean, not that it's not in the plans. Like, I would love to do a video for like At the Gates or something, one of the new songs, right? But right now, I think we've kind of budgeted more for touring, and but going back to the video thing, the first and only music video we've done for Voodoo Queen, that was actually done at my college.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually, I put it together from the things that I learned in college, because stagecraft, that's what I do.
Right.
Set up for bands and stuff.
Okay.
So me and a buddy who went to school together did the lighting, and I had teachers there who helped us as well, and we ended up doing the whole thing for very little. Like, as far as money went.
Right.
Because he was a student.
Because I was a student there. And it worked out really well.
That worked out really well, if that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
It does look pro shot.
And Douglas College was very supportive of the arts
and we've got
their students.
A buddy that we went to high school with.
Yeah,
that's in like, the film industry.
Yeah.
So it was his buddy that had the camera. And,
his buddy had a red camera, right?
Yeah.
Makes a big difference when you know some people that can get that stuff done for you, especially when you're
totally.
Out, right?
Yeah, and he brought in a couple guys, like the guy who owned the camera also brought in another buddy, and so there's 3 camera guys kind of all working on one camera, right? So we had to do like, I think that day was crazy. Okay?
It was a long
then we did a show after the video show.
Yeah, really? Oh, yeah.
So we like ran through the song, you know, over and over and over again. And then we played a set where we had a big ass stage to run around on. And like a big drum riser. So I was like up and down on that thing all the way around.
It's go time.
You know,
just running around.
So it's typical for you guys? You pile all your promos and all your shows into one day kind of thing?
Well, actually, you know what it was that's kind of part of us giving back to the fact that we were able to do the video for such a low price.
Oh, okay.
Was kind of like, okay, well, you know, they gave us this, so we want to give them a show. And so basically, it was a free show. Anybody could go. It was mainly supposed to be for Douglas College students, but any of our fans, anybody could drop
fans showed up.
Right. So we got a bunch of people.
4-year-old kids.
Well, hey, man.
Yeah, it was
be metal fans too, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And like, it was just like we started like at, what was it, like
12?
No, we started at like 10 in the morning, and we went all the way till like 9, just like constantly playing. Like Amanda, she was playing since the beginning. I think we started like maybe a little bit after because it was close to
shots of the
for her.
drums. So we just kind of like hung out while she was like.
And lots of fluids that day, I'm assuming, right?
And
AED. So when it came time to this album that you're doing now, and you guys being focused on more of a live sound, did you guys write those songs with that in mind? Like, you know, you're ready to play these things when it comes out?
Well, basically, there's going to be a lot of practice. No, we can play the songs.
Yeah.
But we upped the ante on the difficulty and the length.
Sure.
Like the average track length is
about 6.5 minutes or something.
Right.
And then some of them are quite fast.
Oh yeah, like 180.
Well, it's more than the last.
180 beats per minute or something.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the tracks, it's like a 7-minute track, 182 beats per minute, solid. And it's like it's just nuts. Like the strumming behind it is just like holy crap, and like her hand.
My arms really hurt.
But this is real though, and I mean it's important for people to know that. You guys aren't slowing anything down and speeding it up. You guys are playing this.
Totally.
You know, we won't record something that we can't play.
Oh no. We were actually playing, like everything that we were doing there, we were actually playing. The song you hear is actually
the recorded
version on the album.
Right. Okay. So
but we were playing through the whole thing, and because we want to try and keep it real, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sure, you know, me being a music fan before I really got into the band thing, I always respected bands that did real things.
Right.
If you made it real, if, like the album's real, you know what I mean?
It just it's a different aspect and makes it like.
And people can
connect really
with it better.
It's really respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, your fans aren't stupid. They know.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
You know what I
totally.
mean, anybody's seen an actor before with a glass, and they know that glass is empty after they take a drink, right? It's no different in a music video. If you're not really doing it, then your fans can see that. Anybody can see it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. There's actually 2 tracks on the album.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about them, but Amanda was a little more involved on and when we say Leighton does a lot of the lyrics, he does he does a lot of it, but at the same time,
a lot of it's kind of like oversight though. Like for
we
one
kind of
song,
work together too.
Right. It was something very personal to Chris and Amanda, so I couldn't write the lyrics.
Right.
Yeah.
So one time I convinced Amanda to actually show me what she had. It took a little convincing.
Right.
But she showed it to me, and I took it home, and I think I went through for 20 minutes or something like that.
Right.
And I really only just changed a couple words, moved some stuff around, I don't think I rewrote too many complete lines.
Yeah.
And then sent it to her, and what do you think? She was like, well, but what about this? And then, we went back and forth a couple times, and the lyrics were done.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it that you feel like you're looking for when you're looking at another set of lyrics? How does that go?
It's, I don't know, I've just always had a way with words.
Yeah.
Okay.
You read a lot.
I read a lot.
So he knows what sounds good.
And,
what makes sense.
And when I listen to a band, I'm listening to the lyrics as well as the music.
Yeah.
I don't give the music the first go. If I don't like the lyrics, I probably won't listen to the band.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's got to have some content.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always tried to put into our lyrics is some sort of deeper meaning.
Right.
So he's our word person.
Yeah.
Do you feel like is this something, is this, and any of you guys can answer this one, but do you feel like if you were an outside fan, are you picking up on the message that you guys are putting out there, or the storyline? Like, if you were to hear the album, or is it more hidden?
I would definitely hope so.
I
would hope that it's
it's pretty
but
straightforward.
Words are open to interpretation.
Oh, totally.
Many different ways.
Right.
I guess, so.
Well, because of the fact that Leighton hadn't been in the band the whole time when we were writing the first album, there was more tracks that I wrote lyrics for, and something I've always been, thought was interesting was metaphors in the lyrics. So I kind of if you listen to The Heretic and you really look at it, it sounds like I'm talking about one story, but I'm actually talking about something completely different.
Right.
Which I won't talk about right now.
Keep it a mystery.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one a mystery.
Yeah. But you enjoy that kind of ambiguity.
That's kind of
the lyrics to
totally
spell it out.
One of the songs on the new album, I kind of had an experience. One day I was reading a book and I read a line, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool line.
Yeah.
You could totally change that around, try to write a song, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I saw what was happening in the song. It was like a cartoon in my head, and just as I saw it, I was writing it down. It took about 15 minutes or something like that.
Right.
And then we got to the end of it, I was like, this is awesome.
Right.
This just worked,
just
and then I sent it to Chris, and
We're talking about At Home.
Okay. And it was we jumped on it.
Yeah.
But a month or two ago, I was just kind of thinking of the lyrics in my head. Totally got a different meaning to it.
Right.
I was like, oh, we could totally just claim that this is the story or something, and it would work.
Yeah.
But that's just, words are always open to interpretation.
For sure. Yeah.
Totally.
I can convey different meanings.
Yeah.
Depending on what mind state you're in.
Something I look for as well, and that's something I definitely appreciate, is that if it's not black and white, it takes a little while
There's
to
a little
figure
more
out what that band's about.
And
that's cool, There's nothing wrong
and
with
at the same time, though, if you're looking for a clear message, there is a clear message too, but then you can look deeper, and that's kind of the interesting thing about it, right? That's how I see it anyway. When I read it, it's there's almost two messages going on at the same time for me.
Right.
So tell me about those 2 songs.
Yes.
That we were talking about.
Okay, so Amanda and Leighton were throwing ideas around, and it was something like ever since this thing happened to me and Amanda, it was always an idea to write something about it. Mm-hmm. We actually dedicated our first album to it's our grandma.
Okay.
She was actually murdered.
Wow.
By her husband in 2009. And yeah, so that's like really, you know, affected us, obviously. And
absolutely.
Course, yeah.
We could...
and we're very close with her as well.
Yeah,
so.
like...
Okay.
So yeah, like having like the musical outlet was really helpful, and like... Yeah, and I think it like... it like really adds to, you know, the music. There's a lot of emotion in it, I think. Well, for us especially, hopefully we portray that out.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, that's like
well,
actually...
There's a lot of... those two songs are very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they go together, like...
Yeah, it's like one and then the next one, and it's a real story.
Right.
And that's one of them is the one that I wrote like the majority of the lyrics for, and then Leighton fixed up. And actually, and that same one, or no, the other one, I wrote a piano part, like intro to go in front of that.
Well,
so.
Considering we're talking about the songs anyway, we might as well give you a title.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please.
So.
First one's Demon of Deception.
Yeah, and so that one is about him, and basically it's a very aggressive. It's almost like, you know, like from what I'm hearing with the recordings that have been going. We're not finished recording, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds somewhat between like a Judas Priest, Angel of Retribution to some kind of Black Sabbath thing, because it's kind of got a slow vibe.
Kind of slower, but really heavy.
But it's very heavy.
Yeah, right on.
We definitely went heavier with this song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's very aggressive lyrically and vocally. But then the other one is it's kind of meant to be like, it's very delicate in the beginning with the piano.
Right.
And then it goes into like
Guitars and drums and...
Yeah, it turns into
strong.
like a heavier song, but basically what happens is, instead of it going to like a heavy kind of dark kind of thing, it's almost like an empowering kind of, like almost like a power metal kind of empowering, like rise up kind of feeling to the music kind of thing, and that one's about our grandma, and it's kind of about, well, basically about like what she gave us.
Right.
Is this strength and stuff, because she's always been a very strong person.
Yeah.
And
and we continue to like carry that on through, like for us it's through music, and other people in our families other things.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask that. I mean, if you guys didn't have this musical outlet, where does that kind of stuff go? You know, what do you think how would you have handled it without this?
Well, our family was like very supportive. Like we all supported each other a lot. I think that was really important, that like, yeah, we all kind of like hung in together. For me, like if I didn't have music, I also am very like into art and painting, so I'd probably kind of go that way.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, it's something that's very difficult to get through, right? So, I always kind of, I don't know, anything really.
Okay.
But good thing we have music.
I think, yeah, good thing we have music. But I think family was a big one, and also like, you know, having people like Leighton in the band and stuff like that, very supportive. And well, Kenny wasn't around at the time. Okay. I'm sure he would have been very supportive as well. But you know.
But as far as lyrics go for you guys, that is fair game. Personal stuff is something that you guys want in your lyrics.
If anything, if you can pull from personal experience, it makes it that much more effective.
Yeah.
Right. Like you get that emotion.
Yeah,
in the voice
you get that emotion.
Right?
Right?
Yeah. And like the thing is, like, like those two songs are really about like that experience in our lives, but they like other people can relate to them too. It's not like it's not like that's the only story. Like other people can sort of interpret it a bit differently. So
yeah, like Demon of Deception is like, you can think of it as the story that we wrote about, or you could think of it as betrayal, kind of like anybody who you were close to that kind of betrayed you. It really goes hand in hand.
And
like,
then there's somebody completely different.
Exactly, and I'm sure like everybody goes through that at some point in their life, and you know, this would be a good song, I think, for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you're keeping it obviously open enough lyrically that it's not like it's written as specific.
No, it's not like
if
we're not saying names. We're not saying
like
dates
we don't
or
have
anything.
names and stuff.
Yeah.
It's,
you know,
like if we didn't tell people what it was actually about,
people would just think, "Whoa, this is a crazy song." I love the lyrics and whatever.
And it really plays into the whole like dichotomy theme kind of thing,
Oh,
because
totally,
it's a very dark song, right? That's deals a lot with like death kind of thing, and then Guardian Angel's very light.
Right.
It's like eternity.
More
kinda.
deals with like the afterlife, like you know.
And the like immortality kind of that you
Oh,
gain
totally,
in the after,
yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
So give me an idea of what hits the cutting room floor for you guys. Like, is there? You said there's 8. Is that correct?
There's 8
songs
tracks
for the new
tracks,
album.
yeah.
How many did you start with? Did you pare it down, or has it always been?
No,
You guys
it was 8.
in this.
Yeah,
we wrote 8 songs.
We wrote this album as an album. Like the first song, At the Gates, we
was
started
written
pretty much
like last
before
year.
Kenny joined.
Yeah, so like right after we finished recording
Right.
the first album.
Okay.
We wrote it, and then Kenny came and added his parts.
Oh yeah, and then it just made
then-
it was like this song was cool. And then Kenny came and added his parts. And it was just
this
these
song's,
little
like,
little
awesome,
things that he
right?
kind of did to like whatever the chorus or whatever, and it just like made it really cool. And it was like, oh man.
Just these.
You're in this band because it's like a big hug.
Well, it's cool though because I
We
mean
definitely
we've
love
only
Kenny.
ever had it was only ever Jordan in the band before Kenny. Like we've only ever had Jordan and I started the band.
Right.
With 2 other guys, 2 other guys, and then as things went on, you know, people left and came. I think there's like 14 people through this band.
Different
Oh, really?
lineups,
Oh yeah, it's like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And but then you know, so we've never ever had a different guitarist except for Kenny when he came in. So it was really kind of exciting to see somebody else's take on the guitar side of things, right? So you know, we've been very excited, and I think this new album is gonna hopefully show other people what Kenny can do. So.
Right.
It's been a great experience for me, like being in this band.
Yeah. No kidding. Like, give me an idea of what it's like to come in and like, well, especially play like other material that's maybe not written by yourself. Like, is that?
I picked up on it really quick,
Right.
because I could relate to the music, and it's really for me growing up. I grew up with a lot of you know, like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Rush, all that stuff.
Yeah. Which
and
is
it was just kind of
influences
going back
you
to
guys
those
can
old
hear, for sure.
influences.
Yeah.
Because I'd go through all sorts of different bands that I'd be listening to, but it's going back to my old influences and then kind of reliving them, right?
Mm-hmm. But you're bringing that in now.
But yeah.
You know, and these guys are apparently liking it a lot. So that's good.
Yeah, no, it's sweet.
But yeah, I find I can fit in really well, and it's,
No, like,
it's something I really enjoy.
We tried a couple guys out,
Yeah.
and it was like pretty much.
They're all nice guys.
Yeah, they're all nice guys, and you know, some of them could play fairly well.
Yeah.
Some of them couldn't.
Yeah.
But you know, like they didn't click,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And we had decided that the 3 of us work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Right.
we were actually gonna go on as a 3-piece.
As a 3-piece, unless we could find the perfect guy.
Right. You want somebody that's going to feel like that
Yeah.
3-piece and add
And then
as a 4th, right?
I think it was like not even halfway through the audition with Kenny.
Yeah, we were just we
And
all started.
We just started
laughing, we're
jamming.
Like,
All of us
We just
big
started
grins
jamming.
on our face
Yeah.
were looking at each other like,
Right, yeah.
this is the guy. And it was like halfway through that
Done deal.
Chris was like, I think I can speak for all of us.
Yeah.
Do
No
you want the
kidding.
job? Like, and he's just like, oh yeah, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, do you want to try some of our stuff? And
Right.
We
And
picked it up
he
so
picked it
fast,
up
like right
like,
there. He's like,
he had seen us like, I don't know, I think it was like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Because we played a show with the band that he was in.
Right.
And you know, like during this audition, he's playing the riffs from our songs. Like,
Yeah.
You know.
So he's already kind of.
I feel a good connection and chemistry with everyone. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
What
it's
makes a
been-
difference, right? Like when you
Oh,
know
yeah.
in a band,
It
you
feels
know-
like a
and
band.
especially
you know,
like for me because I don't know, a lot of like guys they seem kind of like weird around me. Like other guys we've tried out, like they just don't even like talk to me,
Right.
or like don't make eye contact. I'm like, hey, I'm a person too.
I'm an equal member of this band.
Like I'm the drummer, you know, you're gonna have to talk to me at some point.
Yeah.
But like Kenny was really cool, and he was like, you know, just started a conversation. I was like, oh, I feel really comfortable talking with Kenny, and
Right.
that mattered a lot to me.
I was
you know?
gonna ask that because, like, I mean, you're obviously again you've had your classic training, and you know you're kicking ass on songs like Legions of Metal.
Yeah.
And like, you know, is there
factor of musical sexism out there? Like, do people really come in and just say you don't belong here somehow, or does that change when they finally, hear you play? Like,
I've never been told like that I don't belong, but I've kind of gotten that feeling sometimes. Like not a lot, but sometimes I feel like maybe people think like, oh, like, there's a girl behind the drum, she won't be able to like hit them hard or play as fast or whatever. But I think after I play, then I think like their minds change.
You're changing minds.
Yeah, a lot of people will come up to me after and be like, oh, that was awesome. And, yeah, and like, you hit them really hard, I was surprised.
So they're still kind of adding that little piece at the end there.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's really nice, so, yeah.
There's not too many female drummers.
No, I was going to say, I think, personally, I think the stigma's out there because Meg White screwed it up for everybody.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for her, then I think female drummers would have a fine name. But it is kind of how it's going.
No, I find it very accepting.
I find,
mainly.
like, she'll... we always like to talk about how the shows went or whatever, and she'll come up and say, oh, like, some girls came up to me and they're like, oh, you're like really influencing me to like play drums or whatever, like, she's kind of helping them as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I've always been interested in playing drums, but like I never like got into it, and they're like, now I kind of like I want to go learn now, like you inspired me. And I'm like, that's really cool.
I would think that's got to be one of the most rewarding.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, wow.
Well, anybody wants to get into music to influence other people.
Oh yeah, like I think ever since the beginning, like my dream's been kind of like at some point, just for like some kid like me to go like, oh man, I want to learn this song
these
or
guys
whatever.
Are awesome.
Like, oh man, like if
what is that defining moment for Iron Kingdom? Like, do you guys know what that moment is where you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, okay, yeah,
like
made it.
We made it.
I don't know. I feel like we're always right now, like we're just going step by step. Like we kind of accomplish a goal, and then we're like, okay, what's the next one? I think like the next one is like to tour. Like across Canada and the States, and then eventually like Europe.
Yeah, we really want to get to Europe.
Oh, Europe would be incredible. Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking for now. And then after that, like then it's kind of the next thing.
Oh yeah, and I mean like, I find to say like we've made it is always gonna be something that could be difficult to say.
Right.
Because technically, as long as we're doing it, we're all living our own dream, right?
As long as we're supporting ourselves, doing music, we're living the dream.
Totally,
made it, right?
Yeah. Like if we could play like Rogers Arena and stuff. And
that would definitely be making it.
One of the dreams I've had since I was like, I don't know, 12 years old or something like that is if we can sell out the Hammersmith in London.
Yeah, that's the one, eh?
If I can play on the Hammersmith stage and it's like sold out and everybody's screaming.
Right. Well, they say, what is it? They say that you got to visualize success, right? So if you know what the end goals are, then maybe you just get there. Maybe get there quicker. I don't know. Maybe it works like that.
I'd like to thank Iron Kingdom for dropping by Sleeping Bag Studios on SBS Live This week. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the other half of what they've got to say. Plus, we get to see Leighton go on a bit of a rant, and Chris, Kenny, and Amanda try to hold them together tomorrow on the continuation of SBS Live This Week with Iron Kingdom.